Hello, my Moxies! You've made it to part 2, the final part of this build. And right now we're making some changes and adding some stuff that we didn't see in the last video here. You guys are going to see that I'm all over the place. In this video, I'm just going back and forth from places to places. But here I am. I couldn't properly see the kitchen, so I did my own thing, and it's best to warn you now. It's a lot, okay? I just keep putting and placing stuff that I got too lost in the game that I was recording for 5 hours straight without realizing. So here I had to move the counter back a little because it was too close to the island, and you won't be able to walk in between them properly, and we don't want that. So in the picture there were chairs like these over here. So I place about 3 of them, the usual number of chairs to place lol. Well, at least for me it is. I don't do more than 3 because it feels like that's just too much. But let's check how that looks from the outside. And it looked pretty good to me. I don't know what the color of the floor is, but I'm just going to go with regular wood because I think that is what it would be. So this is the floor we chose. And I'm going to layer that about 2 more times. I've seen this hack from one of my favorite YouTuber, Alaska Violet. She's so good when it comes to building. And I love how she has people do speed builds to win a prize. Like, you guys should really watch her video if you don't. I always get lost in watching them because it's so fun. Okay, but this is how the floor will turn out. After layering it 3 times, it looks pretty good to me. Now I'm going back to fix some stuff from the outside, because I saw these chairs were turned a bit and the color of the floor over here has to change. Okay, so it's not much of a change, but I end up coming back to it later. But now we're going to focus on the staircase area and installing the glass walls. I'm going to use the transparent cube, of course, and resize it to be the size I want. But I'm not going to show you guys all that. So let's skip to how we place it without the transformation tool. So we have to delete the fence first, then place the cube where the fence was. Just a little disclaimer. It's okay if your cubes aren't the same exact size to connect them, because we will be putting pillars to block it off. But when you're done placing it, you're going to go back and put the fence over it. And that's it, just do that to the rest and you'll get this. So I decided to remove the fence on the 2nd floor and the roof, because it didn't look too natural, but if you guys want to keep them, you can. So I went with the flat roof and the glass roof, because I wanted the roof to have glass and be modern. Like, you guys, look how this look. I don't know about you, but it's doing something, and when I add the trees and stuff, I think it's going to turn out good. So this area is quite small, but we can make do with it. I didn't want it to be boring old squares, so I'm cutting it like this. And you guys don't have to worry about it looking unclean, because stones will be our outline. So regardless, it's going to come out good, and the way I want it to be. You guys just have to explore your options when it comes to this. You don't have to follow exactly what I do. But yeah, anyways, moving on to the next part. So this is the color I chose for my floors. I didn't want all of it to be wood, even though that would also look good. I just wanted to keep that warm neutral look to it, while at the same time modern. So in my last, I said I'll be using these stairs. Or I think that's what I said. I can say I made a good choice in choosing this one. But now we're going to do the rest of the floors. In here, I was thinking of wine bottles on the sides and the dining table in the middle. You guys will see how that look later on in the video. I end up loving the floors and how I did the walls on the inside. It was really cute. So I'm just paint the windows black over here. Even the pillars were black too, and I did a black roof with brown wood. This is what we were left with. I didn't take a look at it when I was done. I was more excited to move on to the rest of it. So we need to fix the floor as well. Because the floor can't be blocking our garden, so we did something simple like this. Then we used the fence. That was seen on the balcony outside on the picture. As the fence for the rest of the house, so you'll see it quite a lot. Well, not quite a lot, just for here and the view to the first floor. So this area was looking a bit out of place. So I fixed that by putting a pillar there. I just the same one from the outside. We wanted things to look as natural as ever. But that was all, so let's show you the result of how that turned out after we fixed the balcony outside. For the balcony, we used basic shapes, about 2 of them. Then we resized them, making it look like this. We put it in place and took a copy of it to fill in that gap. That would be left behind, then we adjusted anything that needed to be fixed. Then we added our fence, and there you have it. So we separated this room here. I still don't know what to do with it. Maybe a bathroom, office, or bedroom. I didn't know, but it grew on me. But here I saw a massive window. So that's what I'm going to put here. I'm going to resize it to look bigger. I am going to put plants and stuff around here. But that's for later because we kept going back and forth. Like I said, so everything is mixed up. Because ideas just keep coming to my head, and I did them before I forgot about it or decided to change. Because this video would have been longer if I didn't put my ideas in right away. That was looking good. So I did this roof for the first floor right here. And make sure you guys put a floor on the second floor here so that it doesn't come out weird. This is how we came out looking. And we painted the top roof the same color as well. So we added these lights all around the outside here to give it more lighting than it being dark for some reason. It ended up looking like this, and we added some more to the bottom of the house, like so. So this wall was looking empty. And I keep seeing this thing going around, where people use pillars to make this cute design to the house, so I decided to try that. It ended up looking like this. Best decision I've made ever doing that. Like it makes you want to swim in that pool even more. We painted this wall and deleted the one in the back to make it to different walls. Like so. Because these will be to separate rooms, so it needs to look good. And I wouldn't want my room wall to look like just anything. So I'm changing the walls. Also, I just realized this house is going to be shaped weird. I just keep adding stuff. But my plan for my room is an open area. Like very minimum walls here, I was thinking of doing custom doors. But I was like, nah. 'Cause I won't be able to close them when it's raining or cold. And I get cold easily, so you know. Yes, I know the room looks pretty long, but trust the process. Like, y'all don't have to be extra like me, but I have a plan for this room. This part will be my little balcony. Not much is going to be out here, really, just stuff here and there. So I'm going to place a wall here to separate my balcony from my room. And turns out I did decide to use the custom door. So I'm going to have to add those later. But now we're going to add the same fencing around the balcony. Then we moved on to putting up light on the roof on the second floor as well. I made sure to paint them a light yellow color because that is the color of the lights that I saw in the picture. And that's the final look of how that turned out. I then added the shaders that I saw in the picture and color them to my likings. Only problem is that I had to keep them white. But it still looks good, so I didn't mind. So I tried to go fix them. But I didn't have any doors to get up there. But just look how good the house looks in the rain, like oh my gosh. Got lost in how cool this door was that I forgot what I was doing for a second. Moment of realization. But there you have it. It's looking good, but I really do need to add the fence to the yard so that it can look even better and not empty like it is right now. But now I'm going to add the chandelier. I saw go in from the second floor to the first, thanks to Bloxburg. They have a similar chandelier, so that's what I'm going to use. So it looks like this, but I'm going to move it more to the left and change the color. Like magic, that was done fast with the blink of an eye and somehow it still looked dark in the house like how. But back in the yard we were at and we have to add this small chair. That was by the pool. I used these at a corner upholstered booth bench because it looks exactly like it in the picture. Then I found this cute table that would look good by a pool. So I used 2 of these. I almost forgot this table as well. I didn't see it clear, but I knew it was that. It was a cream color, but I end up changing it to something else in the end. So I saw this part up here, and I was immediately disturbed by it, so I went back to good old structural beams and fixed it up. Like, look how much of a change this makes. I really like it. That's so much better, but let's move on to the kitchen. So we need a door leading to the swimming pool area, and I really like the fact that here would be perfect for it. So we wanted a double door that opens on both sides. So we used the same ones we used on the upstairs. And I added curtains. Like, obviously we had to think realistically here. Like, think of the wind blowing the curtains out. That would look so good, honestly. But here I wanted my walls to be the same color as the floor. Trust me, I end up liking it more than I did. So I paint almost all the walls like that. Except for the open box in front. You'll see what I mean later on in a couple of minutes. I also did the kitchen walls the same too. I didn't want to go overboard with the colors of the house. But this is the part I'm talking about. I wanted it to be like a blackish blue marble color, and it came out great.
Is it worth it?
Oh yeah, it's worth it. If you're strong enough.
And this is what we're looking like after coloring. Now I'm going to do the same to the upstairs and be right back. So here we are in the kitchen and the cabinets has lights on them. So I'm going to use the horizontal neon lights to give it that look. Even though I put a light here, it wasn't bright enough. So I end up placing another one inside the cabinet. And this is how it looked. So I made sure to paint those a light yellow later. The bottom of the cabinet was empty too. So like I always do in my builds is put lights under there too. If I was building a condo or villa, I would definitely leave it the same color because it generally looks good. But I'm not, so changes are good law. Simple lights were a must for me when it comes to my kitchen. I don't like anything big or fancy. But now it's the time we've actually been waiting for. And that the kitchen, so I placed everything you would expect in a kitchen: the coffee machine, toaster, air vents, pots, etc. I also made sure not to forget my dishwasher. Right now I was just scrolling through looking for a hood. The things over your stove. And I had to go with the first one because I didn't want one that would glitch into the cabinet above the stove. It took some time to adjust it to be perfect, but I finally got it. And that is how it looks. No, cause I ate that. So now I'm going to put curtains on the door using the same ones that we used from upstairs. So I changed the top floor bottom to something else because that color was not giving. This is the color and texture I chose, and that made everything way better. Like, look at this. Doesn't that look way better than it was before? And I made sure to make the structural beam the same color as well to make it look like it's one floor. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you this law. This is a new level for me. I love it so much. I continue with my kitchen and painted everything to my liking. You guys don't have to do this part. Color your kitchen whatever you want. If you did just tag me on TikTok, I'll sure to look at it and give you my rating on it. So I went for these colors and that will be my color set. For this kitchen, anything that has a third color or glass it, make it black. And there you have it. I wanted this part to only be the only part that is different. The texture I chose now was not giving, so I changed it later. Because at the time, I didn't have good lighting, so I didn't see what I chose. But it was only the counters that needed change. So it wasn't a big problem. But now we moved on to add the stuff in the kitchen. We put more lights in here and colored the chairs. I wanted the coffee machine on the counter, where you can sit and eat so that it won't be a far walk into the kitchen. That is when I saw the counters and changed it to these. Then I went back to add more stuff. I wanted my blender to be on the island because it gave off a tropical vibes, so I added the blender and later on some fruits. I had to move it from where I placed it because I added some trash bins to that corner. But first I had to change one of the counters so that I can add a dishwasher. I chose these ones at the end because I can add the washer in between it, and the counter was going to still look like an island. So I decided to use the same washer that has the same handle, has the rest of the counter, so that it can keep a natural look and not look out of place. I wanted it to be almost invisible, but still there in a sense. The toaster was the only thing I wanted to be over here. I wanted everything to be separate, so that everything won't be in one place for a change. Because when you're building, you would always put one out of these three things next to each other. So I wanted it to have a little bit of a different presence to it. At first I wanted this pot cooker thing to be on the stove, but then I settled to have it on the counter. However, one thing is for sure. I wanted a kettle on the stove and I was going to have that happen at all means possible. So I used a structural plank to do so, and that gave me this. It looked clean, it looked natural, and I like it. So I went on to adding smaller details like this wooden spoon next to the pot. Then I added pepper and salt over here next to the wall because I wanted a clean counter. Then we put the dishes in the cabinets. And yes, I had to leave build mode to open those cabinets. So we added our bowls, plates, cups, mugs, etc. I made sure they were layered in a way that would be natural and organized. Like bigger things goes in the back and smaller in front. The second cabinet on the other hand, I put mugs at the bottom with plates and bowls. And on top, I put a lot of bowls. I don't know why we need that many, but I don't judge lol. So we just went back and color everything dark colors. Because you guys know those trendy black plates people use? I wanted those to be my sets for my kitchen. Wasn't the best choice in color, but I still end up liking them. But over here, I wanted a light brown cool color to make it look a little bit more colorful. It's almost like the color of clay. I like it and the vibe it gives off as well. But it was still looking empty, so I added a bit more stuff law. Fruits next to the blender, of course. Just for when you want a smoothie for when you go outside to sit by the pool. Can't forget the lemons as well. Very important to have this. I needed to fill the empty walls over here. So I added these pot spoons and these knife on the other side. So of course it's not a kitchen without the spices there. I wanted to have spices in the counter drawers. But sadly they don't open. Even if they did, it wouldn't do much because I don't have the transformation tool. But now it's time for the sink. I always end up going for this one, but not today. Because I went $50 cheaper. Looking good so far, I was starting to love it even more. So I thought these cereals could change colors. So I placed about 3 of them, but turns out it couldn't, so I end up have only one. Just a little decor on the counter. Honestly, these jars will hold nothing but sweets lol. So I had an idea for the spices. And that was, what if I put it on this empty wall but lot of them? And damn it, must say, I'm a genius because it turned out good. There can never be too much spices in your walls. Like FR, y'all look at that. Doesn't it look good? I mean, dang. It ain't a kitchen without your cake stand. Like if you don't have one of these in your builds, then who are you? I personally place you as a psychopath. Lol, I'm joking. But that is a big problem though, and a curse all kitchen, so please guys, add the cake stand. So we placed a cutting board, of course. Can't cut the fruits on the counter. So above the island, I installed 2 of these pot racks because I don't want to hide away my pots. I wanted a board for notes, like the grocery list and messages that the family wants to leave. I wanted there to be this mesh over it. So I just this wire board on it and made it into a pattern. But that was it for the kitchen for now, until another idea comes to my mind. So this wall was empty, so I wanted some art on it. And I just went crazy with it. A true artist will look at this art and fall in love. Lol, I'm that artist and I don't know what this did to me. But it really did fill in that missing part. I used these 3 pieces and put them together. And it just came together on its own, honestly. I later uncolor them and I'll tell you the reason why I chose those colors, but back to the kitchen we go. So I saw this tray and I was like, what is that? I thought it was a Thanksgiving item, so I never really touched. But now I saw what it was and I was like, oh my God, I can do something with that. And instantly I thought of a fruit board. Moving on. This kitchen was not giving enough earthy vibes, so guess what I did? Yup, I'm about use the top of my pot rack to store my plants. But to make that work, I need to use the good old structural. And it's for 2 reasons. It's so that my plants can set up there, and so that none of the dirt will get all over my pots. And yes, I was thinking realistically. When I was doing this, do you blame me? Anyways, I used the wooden plank. And I only needed to planks the length of the racks. Like so. Then we colored it black and that was it because it looked good like that to me. Like, do you guys see how that black brings out the brown big W to the color black? So now I'm going to add my plants on top and be back with the results. Okay, it did something, but some flowers would be nice. If only Bloxburg added vines with plants on them. So I'm adding 2 different type of bins. One for recyclables and the other for food and stuff. These bins were perfect for this island. Because of the flat surface of the back end, it has a cover on it. We don't like a stinky kitchen. So I'm putting these here, so that you have somewhere to place your plates and so that this counter doesn't look empty. For all my short people, you're welcome lol. So I saw a hack where they use these ladder to put decals on it, that you can then change the decals into wine as well. I'm going to move it from next to the sink those when I record the next half of this video. So when I come home to a house like this, I want there to be a coat rack by my door, like it's a must-have. With this outside of my door, we'll add a good aura to the house of the house. The corner here was empty and I just needed some there. So I added these firewood here, like for when you want to go camping outside. So you have firewood to roast marshmallows. So I needed vents in my kitchen somewhere lol. Like if I don't have vents, then I'm not living. I put one under these firewood. But you can still be able to see them if you're the type to pay attention to details like I do. I also wanted one above the cabinets, so I placed one there as well. We added stuff around our sink like the sponge and soap liquid. Not much. So I'm going to change that into a decal. I'll make sure to add the code to all the decals I use in this video. So I'm adding my sticky notes and some pictures. just to make it look messy. This is how we're looking. So I wanted a table close to the door, so that I can rest my kitchens and other things. I am using these tables because it gives vintages, and I want it to stand out. So in the picture, been a while since I said that lol. We saw a carpet like this and this is what I'm going to use. I wanted it to be on an angle, but then I move on to the mats in my kitchen. I used basic mats because I didn't want anything over the top. So I'm painting the plates these colors, just to cancel out the brighter colors that might stand out in the room. Look at that! I don't know if you guys see it, but that made it a lot better. So here we are again at this wall, and of course, I still think it's empty lol. I wanted to put like a countertop over here, but nothing seemed to work or fit the idea that I was going for. All I knew was that I need something here lol. Then I ran into this $200 painting and immediately it did what I wanted it to do. I end up leaving it exact how it is with the art and the color. It just fits perfectly. So I end up painting the carpets for the kitchen these colors. And that was it for my kitchen. Well, for now at least. Semi-final look of our kitchen. So onto this art on the walls, and the reason I chose these colors is because the colors and placement of the pieces makes it looks like a lemon and coconut, and it gives tropical and seasonal vibes. To me, it was giving what I had to give. But we needed some pillars to give it a bit more depth to the art. So I used these pillars to get to this. I was looking really good, and you guys can leave it like that if you wanted to. But as you can see lol, I need more. Do I fill the wood wall with the art pieces? And there you have it, the final look. And yes, I did add an extra pillar, but now I'm just separating the two floors from each other so that it doesn't look like a perfect cut. So I'm going to use this color because it looks better than the wood. And you guys know how wood always look when you use it on fence. But it looked good to me, so I'm going to move on. So the carpet in the picture was this brownish color. So I tried to recreate that, but I can't, so I just used this one. I then adjust it to be more in the center. Even though it's twisted lol, I was looking for a couch set to use and I had so much to choose from. So for the couch set, I didn't know which one to choose. But I end up choosing this one and it came out good. You guys don't have to necessarily use this set if you want. But this is the one I chose for my living room set because I'm going off of older builds. So this is the table I'm going to use for my TV stand. I saw use this when I'm building a modern house. As for color, I didn't know which to go with because it didn't see a TV in the house or a living room. I just assumed this will be the living room lol, so yeah. I don't have much to say about the living room. You guys just would be surprised about what I do with the carpet and what I use, so I must speed this up, so enjoy. Now it's time for our dining room, and same as before. I'm going to turn the walls here into a wine case. But first I'm going to use LED lights around this picture frame. And this is how we're looking, and now I'm going to use this table just because it's giving modern. And it fits so perfectly in this area. So I end up going for these chairs because I didn't want to buy fully into the modern look. And yes, as you can guess, not much space, but hey, it still looks good. So I'm going to use this window indent and resize it to the shape I want. I then resized this one so that I can put it above the one I just did. Put them on together and you get it. And I'm going back to do the same to the other side. But here you can see I color the light in a yellowish color. Then I move on to fix the roof. But first, a little check on how that looks, and it's giving historical. But then I wanted to paint the insides of the wine cases. So I went for this concrete texture and color because the plain gray was nice. But we needed texture. Okay, and that's how it's looking now, a lot more better. So one thing about me is that I always have to have vases somewhere in my living room. For some reason it brings the whole living room together. So I just put that there and move on to these empty walls. And here we are. Lol, I don't know how we got here. Nor can I explain it as well. But hey, it looks good and I like it. But I went on to set the table, which I'm going to change later in my next video. And yes, this video will have to cut into a part 3, but I'm not going to post this one until I record the second half. Anyways, we went back to the living room to do the couch, and honestly, I left everything the same. Except color. I don't know. It's just that it looked so good on the plain white couches that I didn't want to change anything. And yes, I did go overboard with the blankets on the chairs. But living room decor, how can I resist? But this is the final piece to the video. See you guys in the next.